Spider-Man is lucky enough to be the superhero with the best representation in video games. Heck, he's even Stan Lee's favorite child. So Spider-Man has it all. The coolest kid on the block, the most fun superhero to watch, and the most entertaining to play with in a video game.
Thanks.
But then, there's this. Now, before we get all antsy at me for choosing this specific Spider-Man game as the worst, I kindly ask you to hear me out. If we go by the numbers, Metacritic does have some Spider-Man games rated lower. However, art can't be judged objectively. Or at least, it shouldn't. Because some games are so bad they're good. Or at least somewhat entertaining. But you know what's worse than being bad? I'll let you think for a while. Yep, it's being boring. And if being boring was a crime, Spider-Man, friend or foe, would serve a life sentence. And before we get into this marvelous game, leave a like if you want to support this new channel and comment down below which horrendous video games would you like me to suffer through next. Hey, let's make a Spider-Man game where the coolest possible thing about playing him is giving the player the absolute fantasy that a man can basically fly, swing around and go crazy, but let's staple him to the ground. The core principle of what makes a Spider-Man game awesome is your ability to move. How freeing it feels. You know how the game makes you
feel like Spider-Man.
That's why, for instance, it's very hard to make a Superman game that's also fun to play. When nothing restrains you, when the rules of physics don't apply to you, it's just simply boring. What's also criminally boring is to play as Spider-Man without his ability to swing around. Oh, and this, whatever this is, when you just hold the jump button, that's not a swing. That's just an animation for a slightly longer jump. As I was starting to get truly immersed in the game though, Nick Fury had something else in mind while explaining me how things work in the hub area. I have to admit, I chuckled at the last one.
This is the roster terminal, where you can select the character that will join you on missions. Up here is the rewards terminal. You can use this terminal to view rewards that you unlock during missions. This is the options terminal, where you can make adjustments to the game settings.
This is the options terminal, where you can make adjustments to the game settings. Spider-Man. A few minutes after I started playing, I thought, this is basically a Lego game without any of the things that make a Lego game fun. Like Legos, for instance. Yes, there are many characters you could choose from, a friend or foe, but there is no incentive to pick one over the other whatsoever, other than maybe checking out the animation of their attacks. You can't access some previously closed areas using a character you unlocked down the line, for instance. That would be pretty insane, right? All of the characters do exactly the same thing, just with slightly different animations and color schemes. The absolute irony of this game though, is that most of the fun you'll get from it, as little as that is, will come when you're not playing as Spider-Man. Now, for the combat of this game, calling it button mashy would be, well, you'll see in just a moment why calling it that would be an understatement. But as you can imagine by looking at this gameplay footage, if this game had any actual strengths, the combat would definitely not be one of them. Spider-Man, friend or foe is your classic beat 'em up with extremely light RPG elements. Oh, and you don't have any kind of defensive stance like a block button or a dodge. Not that you need one anyway. You can simply just jump out of the way in the very few moments the game requires you to. I have not died once during my whole playthrough of this game. And I'm not tooting my own horn, I just don't even think you can die in this game. So, for a brief rundown of the core combat system, you have your light attack, your heavy attack, and a grab button. You do have the possibility of achieving some combos, jump attacks, and all that jazz, but my god, they're all so boring. As I mentioned a bit earlier, this game's whole special sauce comes from being able to change the character you play as on the fly. But after you try each character for a couple of minutes, the novelty quickly wears off, and you're back at boredom square one. Oh, and you can play this game in co-op as well, as I imagine the game was actually intended to be played like this, rather than playing solo with an AI-controlled partner. But unfortunately, I don't hate any of my friends this much, so I had to play this one completely solo for this video. Now, a small saving grace regarding the combat is the Hero Strike. That's when Spider-Man teams up with whoever's at his side for an ultra-high damage attack. And these attacks are specific to each team-up. Now, it's not the level of excitement a Mortal Kombat Fatality will give you, but I admit I was a bit curious to see the Hero Strike in action with each character. With Dr. Connors, you play a game of webby volleyball. With the Prowler, you team up for a poisonous slingshot. Green Goblin tosses you some exploding pumpkins, which you throw at your opponents. With Sandman, you literally bring the hammer down, and Venom kinda ignores you and barfs on the enemies. Because why not? Now, I mentioned earlier why calling this game button mashy would be the understatement of the year. Well, what you're about to see right now is me winning a fight pressing exactly one button on the controller. Not moving the analog stick, not doing anything else but spamming the B button. Enjoy.
All in a day's work.
And if you think that was an isolated incident, well, what if I told you you could almost beat the entire game like this?
Combo level 4.
Also, when you're developing a game, this is what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't make maybe the most effective way to fight enemies also the least satisfying for the player. Although there are many examples, one of the more obvious ones is Green Goblin's attack. That's basically impossible to counter, and all you have to do is just stay away from the enemies, hold the attack button, and he'll launch homing pumpkins that just go to the nearest enemy and blows up in their face. So now let's break down the entire gameplay of Spider-Man Friend or Foe. You enter an area, a gate closes, enemies spawn, you kill the enemies, the gate opens, rinse and repeat. That's it. I could end the video right there, but I didn't suffer through this whole game to make such a short video, so you'll just have to bear with me a little more. Now, one of the things that baffled me while playing this game was something I considered a random bug at first, then I realized it happened every single time. So if you come across this extremely complicated puzzle and you're playing solo, well, the game just turned into Spider-Man Friend or F***. In order to enter this locked area, Spider-Man and whoever is at his side need to stand at the same time on two platforms. Well, as you can see, when the character you control goes on the platform, the other one tries to do the same. Tries to. Now, if you think placing one character on one platform, then changing to your other character would solve the issue, then you would be wrong. Now it actually turns into a real fast-paced puzzle, where you need to somehow be quick enough to get both characters on the platforms, so the other one doesn't have time to fall off the other one. Just f***ing brilliant. Throughout Spider-Man Friend or Foe, the whole fun of the game is getting to play as your favorite Marvel heroes or villains. Now, in this game, there are two ways in which you can recruit new characters to help you along your journey. The so-called heroes just simply join you when you meet them at the end of a level. So basically a boss fight without the actual fight, and the villains, which you do have to fight. Them being mind controlled and all, don't know exactly what's happening and they just wanna kill you. I guess rather than them not being mind controlled and just wanting to kill you. Now, I'd be hard pressed to think of more tedious boss fights than in Spider-Man Friend or Foe. You don't have to do anything special, you're not at any time at risk of dying, and you just have to slowly hit each boss until their health bar reaches 0. I sincerely had more fun just destroying mobs of regular enemies rather than, fighting Scorpion, the Green Goblin, or Rhino, which is quite a spectacular thing to achieve, wouldn't you say? Now, at your fighting disposal, you also have some power-ups. You have an ultra damage one and an invincibility one. Now, for these upgrades, the most enticing reason for you to use them is when you face the, let's call them mini-bosses, although they're just larger enemies that just have chunkier health bars. And that's not because you would need them for any kind of difficulty reason, but because you'd finish those battles a bit quicker. For instance, I would only use my ultra damage as a let's get this fight over with faster please reason. Oh, and apparently you can't use the green one, which is invincibility, during boss fights. Although the only feedback you get from the game in this instance is that you just press the button and it's not working. It's not grayed out, it's not eliminated, it simply doesn't work. Now let's take a quick look through every playable character that Spider-Man Friend or Foe has to offer. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Okay, not that brief. On the friendly side, we have Iron Fist, who shockingly uses his fist as his main weapon. We have Silver Sable, that focuses on ranged attacks and acrobatics. Prowler, who does purple things. Black Cat, who is simply gorgeous and doesn't need to do anything else. And Blade, who's still waiting for his standalone movie. On the foe side, we have Green Goblin, which unironically it's the coolest to play as, Dr. Octopus, who tentacles his way left and right, Sandman, which puts you to sleep, Venom, which has a stomach problem throughout the whole game, and Rhino, who rhinos cause I'm all out of jokes. The game does have some bonus characters as well in Scorpion, New Goblin, and Lizard. Alright, now the story of the game is as complicated as a 3-year-old math book. Basically, everyone has their mind controlled, you beat the bad guys in a boss fight, they're annoyed at the fact that someone was controlling them and want payback so they join you, even though every one of them is an arch rival of Spidey. So that's basically the gist of it. If you played the level of this game, you've played them all. The enemies are all the same, with just some color swaps and different skins. Every single level is exactly as the next and as the one before it. It doesn't throw anything new at you. You just fight a lot of enemies, you basically never die, you advance through a door, you fight again, and you reach the end of a level. Not even the available upgrades are meaningful at all because you could have beaten this game without any upgrades whatsoever. They're just fancier moves that you slowly unlock as the game progresses. You don't feel more powerful, you don't feel faster, you don't feel stronger, you just feel bored. Now, while making this video, I thought maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on this game, as it's clearly made for kids. But was it? No, I'm not too harsh. This is, in my opinion, the worst Spider-Man game ever made. And you know what's the most egregious thing about it? It's a 2007 game. I'll say that again. It's a video game released in 2007. And this game wasn't marketed or priced as a budget title either. It was presented as a full standalone Spider-Man experience. Now allow me to give you some different examples of full-priced video games from 2007 or prior. Resident Evil 4, 2005. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, 2005. BioShock, 2007. I'm sorry, maybe you didn't catch that. BioShock, 2007. God of War 2, 2007. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, 2007. Need I say more? I'm out.